Welcome to the Financial Armor Show. My name is Brad Cooper, the president of Cooper Financial Investments, and your host for the day. And also, I want to bring in my awesome, amazing co-host, Tony Shore. Hi, Tony. How are you doing today?
Hey, Brad, doing great. I've had a
Good.
great week since we last did
Yes.
our last broadcast, recorded our last show, and it's been fantastic. Everything's going good. I'm trying to hang on to the throes of summer. You know what I mean? I can't believe preseason football's already started.
I mean, that is really crazy. I'm from the Midwest originally, Minnesota, where you're calling from currently. When you
Hmm.
think of football, you think of sweatshirts and
Yes.
jeans and sock caps and
Yeah.
gloves.
Yep.
Out here in Arizona, I'll never forget the first year we were out here. Went to a high school football game where my kids went to school, and so excited. Friday night football. It was 105 degrees, Tony. I had shorts, flip flops, and a t shirt on and sweating. I said, "There's something wrong with this picture."
I can't imagine I played football in high school a little bit, and I can't imagine being out on that field and having it be over 100 degrees. I mean, to play football in the pads and all that equipment and the helmet, oh,
I
that
know
would be miserable.
it has to be. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're as you're looking at summer ending, we're really looking forward to our summer
I've
ending,
It's
and
been an especially hot summer there,
it
hasn't it?
has.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're all keeping our eyes focused on October, November, December period. Temperatures
Oh
start
yeah.
dropping, and then everyone from Minnesota wants to come down to Arizona about that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Then you gotta watch out for all those transplant drivers who are
Boy,
horrible drivers out there.
but one positive thing I'll share with you is during the summer, because it's so hot and everybody with a brain leaves either on for vacation or
Sure,
to their second homes, visit
sure.
grandkids. When you go to a restaurant, the lines aren't that crazy. So you
Right.
can normally get in, get your food, and get out and not have an hour or two wait list,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah, and in the fall and winter, I bet the waits get longer at the
Oh,
restaurants.
yes.
Yeah.
You
It's
tend
the
to
opposite here.
yes.
Yeah, the summers in Minnesota are, packed with tourists and people up here at a cabins, going to the lake,
Oh,
fishing, and
it is beautiful
yeah,
up there, and,
it is. It is. I mean, we've been in the upper 50s at night,
oh,
leaving
wow,
the windows
that's
open.
very
I haven't ran our heat or air in a week.
well, I can
Haven't
s
had to run the AC or the air. It's just a house is a nice cool 70, 71 degrees, hasn't changed. Loving
well,
it.
we have something in common. I haven't ran my air conditioner in our main family room and kitchen for the past week either, but not for the reasons that you're not running yours.
You're
It went
supposed to
out,
Oh, no.
and thank
That's
God,
a nightmare.
as we speak, we have an air conditioner repair person, which I just
Oh,
took out 32-ounce Gatorade to and apple juice, 6 hours of working on that to get it
wow.
going. And
Wow.
so
That's crazy.
be thankful for the little things in life that we take for granted. That's all I
Yes,
said.
that's true. That's true. That is so true. In 100-degree heat, you definitely want air conditioning working. So, Brad, I don't have to ask you how you've been. I kind of know now. We know now, and I know you've been busy. Let's talk about our topic for today. I know you've got a good one for us.
We do. And I'm really excited about the topic and a lot of the statistics that we're going to be sharing. It's from an article from US News and World Report. Should retirees still plan for 95? Targeting age 95. What does that mean?
Yeah,
A lot of times when we're doing, Tony, retirement income planning and planning out, we normally do usually 90, 95, or 100. A lot of financial planners still today, and especially historically, would base your retirement plan based on your life expectancy.
sure.
The problem with that is if you run out of money when you're supposed to die and you're still living another 5, 10, 20 years,
Right.
that could be a problem. So, but we're going to talk about this. And I love what the article said because I agree with it 100%. And I've seen it in our own practice the last 30 years and why it's so important. Health View Services did a report not too long ago determining Should you plan for retirement that lasts to age 95 or beyond? And basically, the article said in very rare cases, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, yeah, because not everybody's going to make it to 95, but and everybody thinks they are or thinks they aren't. But some people will, and so that's why I know you plan out retirement pretty far for your clients, don't you?
Absolutely. We always have, out to age 95, 100, sometimes
Yeah,
beyond that, because our number one goal for our clients with the planning we do and as fiduciaries, we take risk very serious. We
sure.
want to make sure that you never run out of money. So, in the types of accounts, but we prepare for that. What happens if you don't make it to 95 or 100 and you
Yeah.
pass
Plus, it's
away?
changing.
It
Right?
is.
People are living longer and longer. My grandfather lived to 101. My
Wow.
aunt Bessie lived to 103. And people are living longer and longer, more and more people. But I mean, but if it's a smaller percentage of us that right now are predicted to live until 95, again, what are some of the reasons that financial professionals like yourself stick to that number?
Yeah. Well, right now, most of us know a woman's life expectancy is longer than, us guys. But
Good point.
if you're a woman today and you're currently 65, your projected lifespan of 90 and a man who's 65 is about 88 based
Wow.
on, and that's the projection now, and that's based on healthcare advancements and the forecast. However, this was very interesting. 95%, Tony, 95% of retirees today that are in their 60s, age 60s, have at least one chronic condition that will shrink their life expectancy.
Wow. That's tough.
It is. That could be heart disease. It could be diabetes. It could be a number of things. And that will shrink and decrease your overall life expectancy. And it just reminds me of a study that Guggenheim came out with many years ago. And at first, I did not agree with it. I had a conversation with my parents, who are at that time in their 70s, and they said, Brad, that's about spot on. But you may recall this because we've talked about this before in the past, is there's three phases of retirement. Number one phase is the go-go years. Basically, your go-go years are between the ages of 55 and 75. During those years, you're getting ready to retire, you have money, you have energy, you feel good, you want to go achieve all your dreams, travel, whatever, that may be. So that's the first phase. But the second phase is your slow go
Yeah.
years. And that's from 75 to 85.
Yeah.
So ages 75 to 85 are your slow go years. Those years you're going to say, you know what, if the grandkids want to see us, they can come visit us.
Yeah.
We're not going to
Yeah.
fight the crazy
We're
airports
gonna
and all
stay
the
where
traffic.
right where we're at. Yeah.
And then from 85 on, no go years. That
Yeah.
could be your homebound, nursing home. You just can't, do what you did in previous years.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, Tony, with this study Guggenheim did back then was, guess what phase that most families, retirees, spent the most money in? Phase one, two, or three?
Well, it's gotta be 1 or 3,
Right.
because the slow go years, you're spending a lot less, starting to travel less. And in phase 1, you're doing all that travel, you've got your energy, you're going places every day as a Saturday. So I'd lean toward phase 1, but I
Yeah.
know healthcare costs and long-term care can be expensive too. So which is it?
You're right. Phase one, they
Yeah.
have proven over and over, you're going to spend the majority of your money in retirement.
Yeah.
And so, My
Well, you're
message.
buying that big RV. I know you, Brad, when you finally do retire, I mean, you'll only be 80 and you'll still be doing great, but you're going to buy that RV and, I mean, 800, 1,000, $1 million for that RV. You're
Better be
going
a
to be
small one
spending.
by then.
Yeah, RVs are so expensive. I
Oh,
cannot believe it. So, yeah, a friend of ours bought an RV and I just could not believe the price. So,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
So
But
you're gonna
yes,
spend a lot of money. People want a boat or an RV or a
you're right.
camper. They wanna travel to Europe or take the entire family to Disney World. These are not cheap, endeavors.
No, and
Yeah.
especially nowadays, things are even more and more expensive.
Yeah.
And I know I've shared this in the past, but especially the last 3 or 4 years of, through the pandemic and dealing with a lot of health issues with my wife, which she's doing amazing now with a new kidney. I just can't praise the Mayo Clinic enough for that and the donors who made that happen. But what I realized and what we're advising more so than ever is yes, be a good steward of your money. You've done a good job. You worked 30, 40 years to accumulate what you have. However, go out now and spend some of that. Go out and create memories. I had this conversation last week with a couple, and they said, Brad, that makes sense. We have a couple $1 million, which we've never had that type of money before, but we have worked hard. We have saved our entire life. It's hard to make that mental transition.
Yeah.
And I went on to say, they have a strong, loving family. And I said, here's what several of my clients have done. I know it's an expense, but if you want to really go out and create memories, get everyone together.
Yeah.
Go to a
That's the way to
destination.
go.
You pay for it. And I promise you, regardless of the price, the memories and the conversations you're going to have for the rest of your life will
Yeah.
be worth it.
You gotta make those memories while you still can and you're still physically able, and you can't take that money with you anyway.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
And but yeah, we've been talking about targeting age 95. Of course, one of the top concerns that most pre-retirees and retirees have today is running out of money, outliving what
Yes.
they have because maybe living longer, maybe unnecessary or unexpected expenses, healthcare being one. But it's so important to work with a fiduciary, holistic financial planner when it comes to retirement income planning because we're required by law more so than most, in my opinion, to take risk very serious. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure your money's allocated in different strategies, some guaranteed, some not. So you don't have the risk of a next market correction wiping all your money out or another, unexpected
Sure.
thing. So basically, try to avoid, and you can do that by working with the right financial service professional.
Yeah, somebody who's not going to say no to I know you work hard. Some of your clients, it does make more sense because they're younger to have uh, most or more of their money in the markets and at risk. And as we get closer to retirement, you help them allocate and have the plan in place that's going to put more of that in principal protected accounts, things like that. So they're less at risk. And so those asset allocations are huge. And I know we've talked about that on
Yes.
the show before. You always talk, Brad, about the color of money and the color of money risk analysis to see where our risk tolerance is at. And everybody's situation is different. And that's what I like about it is how you look at that. And it's not a cookie cutter answer for everyone.
No, it's not, Tony. There's so many factors that are very important when you're planning. It's not, just the dollar amount that you have. I
Right.
mean, there's so many things that go into this. And, you know, a saying which was in the article, better to die with money and assets remaining than none. So with most of the planning we do, majority of our clients are never going to run out of money.
Right.
Unless, the 1% unexpected thing happens. So with that said, if that's the case, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have a wonderful environment, but also you can have and set up a wonderful legacy. We just had a meeting with some of our clients, and they brought their children in.
Mm,
And they wanted them to be included in what mom and dad have accumulated and go through their estate plan, their assets, which I am so proud of this family. And this is something that we are encouraging and recommending more so than ever. Get your beneficiaries, get your children involved, and you can give them as much information as you want or as little information as you want during that meeting, but at least they're going to have a better understanding of what you have, which is going to be a better and easier transition for you when you pass, but also it's going to set up their financial plan for success and not failure. And let me give you an example of that because this just happened to not one of our clients, but another advisor I was
mhm,
talking to. His clients he was working with, they do a lot of planning like we do, tax planning, and they successfully, Tony, with their clients, created all their assets in tax-free accounts.
mm,
So basically, they're in a 0% tax bracket. The money they're making, like in Roth IRAs, are tax-free, distributions are tax-free. But in most cases, that's not the case.
right.
What happens in this case where the kids had that all planned out, but mom and dad did not? They still have all their monies in 401ks and IRAs, and
Mm,
they inherit that amount. That's a good problem to inherit, but now they're inheriting a lot of taxable money that could destroy or really, hurt their current financial plan in many
right.
ways,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta have some money in that tax-free bucket, and, you have to look at passing the money along. How is that going to work? And that's where you come in as a financial
Yeah.
professional, a financial advisor who's a fiduciary, who's going to look out for your client's best interests and come up with a game plan, a strategy in place to deal with that. And I know that's what you do for your clients, and you can help our listeners out with that. And I want to encourage our listeners, if they have questions about what we talk about on any of the episodes, any of our shows, Brad, I know you're more than happy to meet with them, you and your staff there. The number is 888 390 5277. That's 888 390 5277. And I wanted to give that. And you
Well,
can
thank
also go to financialarmorshow.com and check out the website there.
Well, thanks, Tony. And that's probably the most enjoyable thing we experience week in and week out is just the feedback, the questions we get
Yeah.
from our listeners. Further in this study, this report by U.S. News and World Report, Pew Research Foundation, number of Americans reaching 100, age 100, is expected to quadruple during the next 3 decades.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So, also it went on to say more than 82 million Americans by the year 2050 will be 65 or older at that point in time.
Wow. 82 million Americans will be 65 or older
Older.
by the year 2050. Yeah. And the other stat, we had mentioned this. I know you brought this up on another show. Right now, 11,200 people a day turn
Yes.
65 every single day and will for at least the next 4 years. That's
So
incredible.
it is. And it's exciting, number one, if you're a baby boomer and you're retiring. But
Right.
let's look at maybe the possible economic side of that.
Impacts. Yeah. And
Number
Social
one,
Security.
Social Security, less money going into the system for
Yeah.
taxes, especially when we're approaching what, 34, 35 trillion. It
Yeah.
changes every day.
The
The dollar
deficit,
amount.
the debt, US debt. Yeah.
Yes. And not only that is, and when I saw and read this, I had to take a double look. By the year 2050, 82 million, 65 and older. What is that going to do to our care system, healthcare system, long-term
Yeah.
care system? And it's really scary and frightening because we've had many conversations off air and on air about this, Tony, because of your parents and my
Yeah.
parents, and probably most of our listeners have dealt with this. Number one, long-term care, nursing homes, assisted living care facilities are not cheap. And
Yeah.
secondly, every time I talk to my mom, and she's in a really amazing assisted living facility, she said, Brad, they just can't keep any workers. And why is that, Mom? Well, I found out they're only paying them a minimum wage, which is, I mean, they can go to McDonald's or, somewhere else and make more money than what they're making there, which is a shame. So I
Yeah.
pray and hope that there's some reform and really some more
There
focus.
needs to be. It's a tragedy. Long-term care is a crisis in this country. The cost of it, what workers are being paid, the caregivers in a lot of cases, the CNAs, and they're hard to find. My wife actually is a recruiter for
Oh,
these homes
wow.
to try to find CNAs. That's not an easy job to find
No,
people willing to do it because the pay is low and the job is hard.
very hard. And so, so what options do you have? Maybe you're looking at entering retirement. Maybe you're in retirement and this is a concern, which I would say this is the top probably two or three concerns that everyone has that I talk to on a
Yeah.
daily basis. So you can, and there are strategies out there, which a lot of my industry is not offering and not recommending. Shame on them.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of strategies, Tony, that offer long-term care benefits, in-home health care benefits if you need it. But if you don't, you still have an account that is protected and growing based on the interest in the market. So there's strategies out there that you can put yourself in a position. If that comes and I need care, I can have a nurse come to my home 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Why? Because of the benefits I have from the strategy that Cooper Financial set up for us.
That's great.
So be proactive. Do not procrastinate and get a second opinion, get a third opinion. And I'm talking from experience. Of course, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, the financial industry, but healthcare, I've done that many times. And thank God
Yeah.
I have because it has saved lives in our
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. That's so important, and you have to have a plan that encompasses, not only things like taxes and taxable accounts, as you mentioned earlier, but healthcare costs. And, again, you talked about those 3 stages of retirement and the money you're gonna spend in the first stage. Well, that 3rd stage is where long-term care and all that your healthcare costs are really gonna, get serious. So you've got to have a plan in place, and like you say, there are strategies that you can have set up in your plan so you don't need to worry about it. But so few people do that, right?
You're right, and here's something I hear often in our industry, and from even attorneys and CPAs and other financial people that don't do the planning that we do is, well, Brad, you know, our mutual client has $4 million. They can self pay. Of course they can. That's great. However, that's less money, the possibility of less money going to your estate, to your
Yeah,
children, if that's, your goals,
yeah,
legacy. So why not carve out part of your portfolio, by the way, usually a small portion, to pay those benefits in case there is a long-term care need or in-home healthcare need. Therefore, you're leaving more money to your estate
yeah.
versus
You
self-paying.
could have a cash value life insurance policy that
Yes.
has long-term care abilities to help you pay for it. I know there are many strategies that you have that you utilize for your clients, but that's a great thing. And we tried to explain that. My wife tried to explain that to her mom. It's like, Mom, do you want this money that you have to go to your kids and grandkids, or do you want it to go to the full-time care facility? Because
Wow.
you're starting to get early onset. And so you need to decide, and you need to decide that early on so it can be set up, ahead of time. You don't want that money, even if you have enough money to pay for it on your own. That's a great point. I'm glad you said that, Brad, because so many people don't look at it the right way. They don't realize, do I want my kids and grandkids to have this money, or do I want it to go to a long-term care facility?
Right.
It's your choice. You don't have to have, if we got 1,500,000 saved up. Well, guess what? My mom's been in long-term care 2 years. It's $11,000 a
A
month.
month. Wow.
That'll go away in a
Just like
heartbeat.
that.
So you have to have plans in place. and you don't want to have to self-pay. Most people couldn't at that point anyway. But even if you do have enough money to take care of it yourself, is that where you want to leave your money? I would not want my money, once you're reached the point where you're in a full-time memory care unit that's 11 or $12,000 a month, you're not that's not benefiting you really. I mean, you have to have a place to live, but you don't know what's going on at that point. Wouldn't you rather set that money aside, do some estate planning and do some pre-planning to pay for long-term care in other ways? I think that makes perfect sense. Don't
It
you? Wouldn't
it
you agree?
Wow, 100% Tony. And I just you know, keep on thinking people just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And it's the main reason it's our industry. There's a lot of good advisors. Let me just put that out there. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of our industry that won't go the extra step and give you
Right.
the education and give you some of that insight which you deserve to know and give you the options to choose. Uh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of our industry would rather invest your money in the market and stop there. That's what makes us different. I was just interviewed last week by Entrepreneur Magazine, which was a
Oh, yeah.
wonderful honor. And
Yeah, that's great, Brad.
we spent probably 30 minutes, Tony, just talking about this topic that we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
and the ongoing problem and problems we're going to have in the future.
Yeah.
So important.
It
Be
is.
proactive and get educated. Work with a financial service professional that will take the time to sit down with you and not be in a rush and at least give you the information and the knowledge so you can make a strong, educated decision on your own.
Yeah, and the bottom line there is, Brad, that's terrific what you said, and I think the everything you've been saying this show, the bottom line is for our listeners out there is work with a financial professional like yourself, Brad, who will enable you to not run out of money if you do live to 95 or beyond.
Right.
And that's what people are worried about is running out of money in retirement. And if you have the right plan in place, you will not. You got to work with a good financial
Right.
professional. So before we go, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you, Brad.
Absolutely. You can call us toll free at 888-390-5277. Again, that's 888-390-5277. Or ask any questions that you have at our site, financialarmorshow.com. Again, that's financialarmorshow.com.
All right. Thanks, Brad. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of the Financial Armor Show with our host, Brad Cooper.
Thank you, Tom.